Hey, everybody. What's up, YouTube? My name is Makayla. I'm an evolutionary and predictive astrologer, and it's been a while since I've put out some content on my YouTube channel. But I'm feeling called, I'm feeling inspired to come back and talk about some things. And this is going to be right in alignment with this whole Uranian theme going on right now, and definitely, the transition that we're getting into come February 2024. Can't believe it's 2024. And we are in the Pluto and Aquarius era. So Pluto moved into Aquarius about a week and a half ago. And we're not done with Pluto and Capricorn. We will get the last transit of that towards the end of the year and the beginning of next. And then we'll have like the rest of the 19-year cycle ahead of us. So I'm a very Uranian person. And if you're new to astrology, that means I've got a good amount of Aquarius in my chart. And I definitely vibrate and understand that archetype deeply, resonate with Aquarian themes. And so I was doing some research, I was thinking, and I was revisiting some of my courses, and then I felt inspired to talk to you today about some themes that could be coming up under these transits of Mars, Venus, Mercury going through Aquarius this month. We've got a new moon square Uranus, which has to do with Aquarius themes, and then, the big transition of Pluto into Aquarius, but also why Uranus is still such a major key player right now in our astrology transits. And, it's also going to be getting squares to Saturn soon, and what that will mean as well, because that's going to be a part of the big Saturn Pluto conjunction that we had, Jupiter conjunction that we had during the COVID times. And so, this is kind of the story unfolding and playing out further and further along. And so here in this video, I'm just going to unpack for you some notes that I came up with around Uranian themes. And so when you're having a transit through Uranus to your chart, where it's going through a house or it's hitting one of your natal planets, it's aspecting it, conjunction, opposition, squares, in conjunctions, sextiles, they all matter, and sometimes we'll have more quieter periods with Uranus transits, and other times we'll definitely feel the stimulation. And I think this can be useful and helpful because it can be a highly misunderstood archetype, Uranus, or AKA Aquarius. The planet does operate a bit differently than the archetype. So, I'd like you to focus more of like this planetary perspective, and then how other planets can act in this way when they are transiting through Aquarius, or they're making aspects to Uranus, which all of the planets that are transiting this month, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the Sun, will be making aspects to Uranus from Uranus's comfort sign, Aquarius. Okay, so we can see that these themes are going to be charged and kicked up. And I am doing a second talk more related to the transits overall on Sunday with my buddy Sid, and that will be live at 3 p.m. Eastern time on my Instagram, which is Scenic Route Astrology. So you can find me there if you want to attend the live and ask some questions at the end. And we're specifically going to be talking about those conjunctions to Pluto. So today, let's just get into the vibe of Uranus, Uranian energy, and also Aquarius energy. Okay, so I've had some time to sit because I've taken a break with my astrology practice. And for many who don't know yet, because I have talked about it in other videos here and there in my content, astrology, Instagram, TikTok, and so forth. My main job for the last 6 or 7 years, for on and off, has been in sex work, and I have been a professional companion. So it's like the deepest into sex work you can go, and it's very Uranian. It's a very taboo type of career move that I made. And it was just about when Uranus was entering the layers of my eighth house, which was activating the parts of my chart where I make money and my resources and my values and the assets that I had. And so, when Uranus touches a part of our chart, you can expect erratic, sudden change in behaviors within you or outside of you. And they can come from downloads, insights, ideas, bits of inspiration, and it can feel like really outside of yourself, but while also feeling really in alignment with who you are as an individual. And this is because this planet itself, wherever it is placed natally in your horoscope, as well as transiting, is working on individuating the soul and really focusing on freeing up the soul, particular to your main chart. Okay, so obviously not everybody who gets a Uranus transit to their second or eighth house is going to fall in alignment like I did and step into the world of sex work. But there could be major shifts within the values of the person and the soul. So a part of that transition when it comes to Uranus or working through your Aquarius houses, or having strong Aquarius transits, strong Uranian transits, is understanding that this is a process now that's being evoked in a certain area of your life where you're going to become deeply self-aware and knowledgeable about who you are. And oftentimes that's going to look like different things that are not normal to the people around you, or even to the majority of the status, the majority of people. Okay. This can become a time where there's a strong need to basically eliminate any noise going on in your life or noise going around you in order for you to become deeper and closer, more closer and deeper aware of. I have so many thoughts, like, and this is very Uranian because I have like so many things going through me very fast. I'm trying to like communicate it all. But you're becoming more invigorated, right? You're becoming more self-knowledgeable about how you are different than other people, how you're different from where you grew up, how you're different from your home country, how your thoughts and your ideas could be different, right? This is all going to depend on the natal placement of your Uranus and then also where it's transiting at the time. Because let's not forget, transits are always working on the basis of the horoscope. So it can be really loud. Uranus can be really, really loud, like it has been in my seventh and eighth houses for a really long time. But the natal Uranus in my chart happens to be the third house, right? So that becomes about telling your unique story later on in life, once the soul is ready to know itself that much and that deep. And so what happens with a Uranus transit is it becomes a chaotic time. It can feel chaotic, especially the first couple of years it enters a new house or it gets within 5 degrees orb of like a very personal planet, like the sun or the moon, definitely big ones. The ascendant, a huge, huge transit to have, or Mercury, Venus, and Mars, your personal planets. Definitely Pluto too, but that's a we can get to that. That's a little bit more of like a bigger but longer transition. And I'm also having that Uranus opposite Pluto right now. So this becomes a need to eliminate the noise around you, because with Uranus transits or Aquarian transits, there's a need for space as well, right? There's a need for space so that the opinions, the ideas, and also the expectations, right? Capricorn becomes before, Uranus, so doesn't Saturn, right? Then there's Uranus. There's expectations, and at times those need to be removed in order for that individual to truly get into their own personal growth and self-awareness. Okay. And so, if you're somebody who's experiencing a Uranian transit, or Aquarius, a bunch of Aquarius stuff, it's getting kicked up, and you're feeling this need for space, you're feeling this need to break away from the family. Like, I've done at times where I had to take space from my family for 3 months and nobody understood it, but I understood what I needed. And the same thing with my astrological practice that I knew was changing in the way that I have been trying to develop and come into the world as, a channel and a spiritual coach and a professional astrologer. And also slowly erode that, that chapter of sex work in my life, and step into this new role that I know I've been called to do. Well, it took some space. I had to have some space and some time, because what happens during these Uranian transits or highly Aquarius individuals is that your downloads and your soul will start to experience itself working on a high speed, and nobody else can understand how innovative you're becoming, or where your thought process is, or how far outreaching your vision is, right? How far out you can see the solutions to the issues that many people are trapped in that time and space. And yet these Uranian transits, or these highly Aquarius people or Aquarius transits, accelerate this fact that there's so much knowledge being flooded in, there's so much information, and it can be exciting, and you can feel the change that's needed to come. You can feel the innovation within you, that it requires some space at times to really get to know and to process who you are, and really get confident, right? Because the opposite is Leo. Really get confident in those talents and those unique gifts, or those unique insights that your soul has, that maybe not many people are ready to accept yet, or they're ready to understand, or they're ready to see, right? And so that's why there's a need sometimes for that space, right? And that's why we can associate also Uranus, like, the higher octave of Mercury, right? The higher knowledge, the higher power, or the information that can come through us from many, many lifetimes, deep, wild innovators, right? Have strong Uranian Aquarius archetypes in their chart, because you are at that time, or during those transits, extracting new visions, new ideas, and new inspirations from beyond what your physical body is handling in the immediate world. Okay. And so this is why living and responding during a Uranus transit or deep Aquarian transits can make you feel like a bunch of different things. And I want to talk about the feeling dynamic. Okay. So because Uranus is about change, right? It's about innovation. It's about change. And it's about knowing that something is holding you back, or still keeping you stuck somewhere, that you're still not free. Okay. So For instance, just to reiterate on my story, because it's easier to tell mine than share clients' personal businesses and stuff. I felt very stuck in my money situation at the time, right? When I decided to get into the sex work world, and I knew nobody that had ever done it. you know, um, I had some little bit of apprehension, but I just actually more so felt the change. And at the time, I felt very irritated and angry at the stuckness that I was feeling financially, because I had these other goals to become a pilot and start flying, and have a better quality of life and stop working 15-hour days on my feet and being talked down to like I wasn't educated, because I was bartending at the time, and people were very rude, and I felt this like major, like, and I understood my value as an individual, which was also kicking up my second house. But then this is also when Uranus is in Taurus. Okay, so right now we're being asked to individuate and free ourselves and understand where is the value that we hold in ourselves, right? And then Uranus is going to ask you, are you free there? Do you feel free? And you might say, yeah, I'm free, but like Uranus is going to be like, are you really free? Like, are you actually free to do how you want, move how you want, like speak how you want, like, right? So it's gonna feel irritating. Like a Uranus transit, Aquarius stuff is gonna feel irritating if you're not there. You're gonna get angry. You can get angry and frustrated. Okay, you can get frustrated with your circumstances that you're in, or you can get frustrated with the people around you if they don't understand like where you're coming from, and yet you're accelerating and having this internal process and change, and you do change, right? So like when I actually started, and then my family had to find out and knew, like a lot of people were angry at me because they weren't able to process as fast as I was and be okay with that decision as fast as I was. And it took a couple of years, and it actually took about 2 years of not talking to my family because of the change of opinions and differences. And then my family was able to observe through me through a long time how I made it a very professional business, to really teaching me a lot about human intimacy and relationships and true companionship, and then evoking me to dive into the world of psychology, astrology, and esoteric knowledge, where basically I had my clinical experience first, and then I got my education on psychology. And that's when I knew I was meant to become a sex coach, a relationship coach, a professional astrologer, a spiritual coach, a medium, a channel. All of these things started to open up and accelerate into my world. And at the same time, I was gaining traction in my freedom financially, emotionally, healing a lot of things. Education wise, it was affecting my third house because that's where my natal Uranus is, which was directly opposite the ninth, which is where I have a Jupiter moon stellium, right? I'm meant to teach, I'm meant to give lectures, I'm meant to be into philosophy and belief systems and higher thought and so forth. And so really, this is what happens, right, through a Uranus transit. But it was that itch, and it is that inkling that that something needs to change. It can be irritating because change is not comfortable, and eventually life kind of, like, I could have stayed in that same position, and this goes for anybody. You can stay in that same position and not move, but then the uncomfortability of that situation becomes more uncomfortable, and Uranus is like, do you want to stay here still? you know do you still want to be here? Like, is this still the life you want? Is this still you being able to individuate and express yourself and stretch your arms out? So you might experience that irritability within and from exterior, and that anger. And you can also experience a lot of criticism, okay? Because there can be like this opinion involved with Uranus transits, because the individual, like you experiencing the transit, is accelerating fast. And so also, what is acceleration through change bring out, right? Other problems like anxiety, restlessness, like having a lack of sleep at the time, but like lots of anxiety or like freaking out, you can have like some major losses, like say it's going through your second house. And this was some of the things that I experienced because I wasn't moving, right? Like I was resistant for a little bit to like follow what um, my instinctual and internal part of myself was telling me to do, right? So there's a desire to be free. There can be an inkling for change, and they can come out with all of these not so great feelings at the time, right? But those subside, especially if you decide to take the jump anyways, right? If you decide to say, I trust myself. And that is one of the other keys that I wanted to talk about before I go into the good feelings of a Uranus transit, is that this is now developing the individuation process and the solitude mixed together, and the ability for you to come back into yourself and reflect and block out all of the noise from things and people and places and situations, right? Allows you to develop a unwavering self-trust, unwavering and unwavering, unmovable, unstoppable, deeply empowering, deeply freedom giving self-knowledge and self-trust in yourself, right? So I had this like birth and death and rebirth process. It probably happened a few times. That's why I'm mixing it up. But, with an inner knowing of myself, because, Uranus not hitting my eighth house yet by Porphyry or Placidus, but definitely hitting my eighth house by Holstein, is invoking like this deep growth into the depths of the parts of my soul that I needed to work out and learn more about, right? And things that have always fascinated me, right? When I was 13 years old, I was journaling about how I wanted to be a sex therapist, and who knew that this was how I was going to do it, you know, uh, 20 years later, whatever it was. So, but it's an inner knowing, right? It's within you. It's this individuated thing. And so what happens now is you become a leader. And this is what I talked about in a video that I put out last summer about bullying and harassment, because the foresight that I have going into the 2024 election is about choosing the leaders who are honest. And Aquarius and Uranus are so clear. They're so sharp and crystal clear. It's a highly, highly, highly um, intellectual archetype, Aquarius, and it's a very crystal clear, sharp planet, Uranus. Okay. And that is why the fracturing that you'll hear takes place with Uranus transits, or the trauma, right? The trauma, I'm not even quoting because it can be so erratic that it does cause trauma to somebody. And I went through those bouts too of understanding the trauma that has been imposed in my body, present and prior, early life, and also past lives, and how that is necessary for healing too. Okay, so these things can be so erratic, and they can be so rebellious or revolutionary that those can create those kind of events, right? Where basically what happened again for me, and this will happen for some of you who are going through deep Uranian transits, is where you'll lose some friends, right? You'll lose family members. You will lose the validation, if you will, that from other people, right? And to be honest, it is more freeing to do that because you're now free from judgment. And truly, the only judgment that matters is the one that you have of yourself, right? And I want you to lead with being compassionate against with being compassionate with all of the knowledge that you had at the time and the knowledge you have in the present moment. We don't have enough knowledge for the future. Like, why are we focusing on that, right? And a lot of us need to be compassionate and forgive ourselves for the transitions and the times we were in, because we were doing our best with what we had when we had it. And so a lot of this time, like these transits, these Uranus transits, these Aquarius stuff going on will evoke the eradication of certain people or situations. However, if this transit is teaching you and you're really grasping the deep trust in yourself, then you're unwavering, because nobody wants to live in a world where they're constantly judged or looked at all the time anyway. And, you know, I have had my fair share of this experience because of friends that couldn't grow with me, family members that couldn't grow with me, and people that couldn't support me really empowering myself the way that I feel has been best. And I can sit here clearly right now, confidently expose myself to the world, ready, love it, because I have so much compassion for people and I have so much love for the process of being authentic and speaking your truth. And, you know, that's kind of what I want to wrap up with here is the feelings that Uranus can bring, or Uranus transits and Aquarius can bring, that are good, like once you move past all of this resistance, right, that can come up with the want to change. Okay. And, you know, first off, the ability to be completely honest with yourself and truthful with yourself and trust that at the same time is so powerful. And it is like you grab the true essence of the lightning bolts of Uranus and you have like ultimate power. You have inspiration. You have an endless amount of internal fresh air, like breathing through your body. And then it's easy to communicate. It's easy to inspire others. It's easy to be inspired. It's easy to create new ideas, new visions, right? It's easy to see beyond the constructs of the judgments and the criticism and the blockages and what's outdated and what feels heavy and doesn't feel you anymore, right? These Uranian gifts liberate you to really be a free human being. And then it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because we're always going to evolve. And so that Uranus is going to move into the next house and the next chapter, and it's going to build on that vision and it's going to build on that inspiration. Okay. So, like, again, I'm in the process of Uranus mixing up my seventh house, like relationships and people with other people. And I have met hundreds of clients. Yes, I have had many clients in both sex work and spiritual coaching and astrology, and just being an agent of change and inspiration, and friends and people around me, right? That's what I do. That's what I install. Like, that is one of my purposes here, right? And another of them is like bringing this inspiration, bringing this education, bringing this vision around compassion, around love dynamics, relationships, you know, what causes people to go outside of themselves, or how can we actually merge relationships back together in like a healthy approach. And what does that healthy approach mean? It's different for everybody. I'll tell you right now, I've seen it. I've seen couples, I've worked with couples, like, it is different. I've seen men, women, it is different for every single buddy. And once you start to develop your own Uranus, right, in your chart, once you start to claim your own individuality, you also become less critical of everybody else around you, because it widens your perspective. It educates you more. You become more genius. Okay. It's really a genius kind of quality. And then you start to accelerate. And that's why, you know, there is a cost to the freedom, right? There is a process that there has to be some type of letting go somewhere, right? And it will be specific for the individual, like again, where your natal placement is, where Aquarius is, what planets are there, and the transits of Uranus, right? But if you're not heard, like if you as an individual is not heard, then the sad thing becomes an individual who never got to tell their truth, and an individual who never got to freely express themselves or be themselves, and never got to experience what that would be like. Never have the joy and the inspiration of the self, you know, being claiming your life, right, as you will and as you want to be, and being able to fly, being able to soar, you know. So these changes and these move towards changes can really bring you some outside fresh air coming into your internal world, if you will. You know, it will liberate you. You'll have this desire to be free at times and to be alone at times, so that you can go and explore yourself more. And, you know, not everybody who has like these deep Uranus transits or strong Aquarius are going to be loners, right? I very much enjoy my boyfriend. He is a huge support system for me. But like, for instance, I couldn't get this camera to work earlier, and he's like, I'll come and help you in a little bit. And I was like, no, I like to record these videos alone. like because I'm in my element, I'm in my Uranus third house truth speaking mode, and I require some solitude for that, right? And because that's where I can really express myself pure and authentically, and individuate, you know, without any not that he has expectations, but anything external like affecting that, except for the dogs, right? But they're highly Uranian because they are rebellious chihuahuas. So so anyway, I'm thinking of doing like a second to this, and we'll see if anybody wants to leave anything in the comments, if you resonate with anything at all, or if I helped you understand Uranus and Aquarius in the chart and transits that happen. And also these things can apply to your natal placement too. But I'm thinking about doing a part 2 of like transits through the 12 houses. That way we can break down these topics a little deeper and what it might mean for you personally in your natal chart. So if you have it, you know, in the 3rd house like I do, and it's transiting the 7th, and how you could synthesize the two. So anyway, if you're still here at the end of my video, I deeply appreciate it. Please make sure that you hit the like button and leave a comment and subscribe if you would like. And also you can catch my live with the major Pluto, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Aquarius transits coming up, and then how that's gonna affect us in like a couple weeks from now when all those planets start to square Uranus by transit. So I missed everybody, and it's good to be back, and I will definitely be back soon, and I wish everybody the best. Okay, ciao.